So Esther, this week we talk about taxes, specifically the sin tax and the inheritance tax. So the sin tax, there are talks of raising this tax in the upcoming budget 2019. But what is the government trying to achieve by having the sin tax?
I think first of all, it's not rumours that they're going to raise. It's just that every time a budget comes around, the first thing that's on people's minds is that they might raise the sin tax again. So alcohol, tobacco, maybe even gaming as well. But as to why the government have been raising taxes, I think over the last maybe decade or so, it's probably because they would want help. They've mentioned it before that they want people to be more healthy, maybe cut down even on societal problems, social issues when it comes to alcohol and stuff like that. So it's not just for the money, because if you look at how much it contributes to total tax revenue, it's actually very small. Yeah. So for tobacco or for alcohol, anyway, it's maybe about 3% of total tax revenue.
We know that the sin tax has always been a popular method to pad up our coffers, but is this the right time to raise the percentage?
I don't think it's like a popular way to pad up the coffers, because it just contributes very little to the government revenue itself. But maybe it's just there, and something that you can tax as well and help the society, help to reduce smoking or drinking itself, because it becomes so expensive, right? But whether or not it's the right time, I think it depends, because if you really want people to quit smoking, you have to think about whether raising taxes itself would actually achieve that goal. Like tax consultants we spoke to, or even market observers that we speak to, they say that more often than not, if your enforcement is not right, like at the point of port, then raising taxes is quite pointless, because people will choose alternatives. So they'll go to the illicit market, the counterfeits and stuff like that.
So some of these industry observers and experts that you spoke to for this story, assuming that there will be a hike in the sin tax, what were their concerns? I mean, recently we had a case where people in Klang Valley and outside of Klang Valley who died from alcohol poisoning. So is this a byproduct of hiking the sin tax, because it will, instead of deterring people, it will drive them towards counterfeits?
It could be, because people would like to save, few ringgit at a time instead of paying the taxes, right? So I guess people's concern, or industry observers, maybe even tax consultants' concern, is that if we increase the excise duty prices for alcohol and maybe even tobacco in the upcoming budget, what would likely happen is that the market share of the actually legal tobacco players or the breweries themselves might reduce, and people would opt for the alternative markets, like the illegal and the counterfeits. Yeah, so that would not only cut down your tax revenue, possibly cut down your tax revenue, but also create a bigger issue where there's more counterfeits and stuff. Yeah, so what they mentioned is that you need to have really good enforcement to make sure that the illegal market is sort of under control, or it can be minimized. In fact, then maybe think about increasing excise duty.
So now we speak about the inheritance tax. Now, I didn't know that we had this tax. It was repealed in 1991, so why was it abolished in the first place?
According to my previous conversations with tax consultants, their guess is that probably it did not contribute that much of revenue to the government anyway. So, administrative costs can be higher than the actual collection of the revenue itself.
If it did not contribute that much to our revenue at the time, then why are there talks that it could be brought back?
I guess we have to see it from a demographic point of view, and how society has grown over the years as well. Wealth has increased, so probably we have a larger demography of more wealthy people, high net worth individuals now. So maybe that is one reason why there's been rumors going around that it's probably it could be one of the new taxes that the government is looking at to put into to increase the national coffers. But tax consultants do not think so at this point.
So by right, the inheritance tax, it hits the wealthiest, but is it really that simple?
Yes, it should technically only hit the wealthy people, those with a lot of properties and a lot of money when they die and they leave behind. But it all depends on how the government, if they were to implement it, it depends on how they would do it. So what one of the tax consultants mentioned is that the threshold is very important. In terms of when you become liable to inheritance tax. So it has to be high enough so that the middle income group, which are not affected, but only the ultra high net worth individuals.
After all this has been said and done, does this mean that we need to prepare for more taxes in the future?
If you were to look at more advanced, the advanced countries like the US, the UK, they have capital gains tax, they have inheritance tax, but whether or not Malaysia would go into that direction, I guess it would really depend on the government and how whether they can raise revenue from other sources rather than introducing these kind of new taxes.
For more on the stories, pick up a copy of The Age Weekly at all good newsstands.